The Truman Library and Museum is first and foremost an archive, but the museum is what most people know when they come here. We are at our core an educational institution. That's why we're here. We're here to educate, we're here to inform. Truman is such a remarkable touchstone for all of that education, and he envisioned this place to be not a shrine to himself, but a literal classroom for democracy, a place where people, especially young people, would come to learn about how their government works. And he personally invested in that educational process when he was alive, when he was here. The fact of the matter is, we've been at this almost 5 years. And as we got further into it, we realized that this was a wonderful opportunity maybe to really totally reconsider President Truman's legacy and to do kind of a down to bare walls and back, all new exhibits with state-of-the-art 21st century technologies. We closed the museum last July. It's been a construction zone since that time. There was an addition to the building. The exhibit area was all completely gutted. All the walls you see in the exhibit now are brand new construction. They've been built from the ground up. We've moved the main entrance to what used to be the back side of the building. Now you'll be able to come right in the building, and as you stand in that space, they're going to have a sense that something great is about to happen. The World War I theater is really going to be one of the signature pieces in the exhibit. You'll see a very large screen, and that screen is going to display a film that explains sort of the context of the war from Harry Truman's perspective. There were 4 presidents who served in World War I. Harry Truman was the only one who saw combat. It's very environmental. We hope to transport people to the hills of France. We hope that the intimacy of that theater will help visitors feel like they're a part of that moment in history. One of the most important parts of the exhibit is the moment when Harry Truman becomes president. All that Harry Truman had to deal with from April 12, 1945, when he became president, to the early days of August in 1945 when the bombs were dropped and the war was over. Just slightly under 4 months of on-the-job training, he has to not only garner the peace, but rebuild the world. First 4 months gallery, I think, really is going to set a stage. When you turn from the end of the war, you go into a room that has a globe in the middle of it. And it's a very large, about a 14-foot globe. And on that globe are going to be projected all kinds of footage from around the world. Truman's response to these crises around the world are taken care of on the perimeter wall. So things like the Truman Doctrine, like the Marshall Plan, like the Berlin Airlift. That room really, I think, represents for me the heart of Truman's legacy. That's what we need to remember Harry Truman for, is piecing together the post-war world. Visitors are going to walk away from this exhibit really understanding what the post-war world was like and what Truman's role was in piecing the world back together. So what's nice about this flow now is that people enter the building through this beautiful new entrance on the far side and come through the exhibits. And when they get to this room, the presidency for Truman has just ended and he's returned home to independence, Mr. Citizen, as they called him, the man from independence. Truman said that Independence, Missouri was the center of the universe, and for him it was. It took a couple years for them to commission it, and then another year or so for the artist, Thomas Hart Benton, to put it together. Now I think it will be a piece of art front and center, very well interpreted, and very much a part integrated into the Harry Truman story. This is a, once in a generation. It's not even just a remodel, it's a reimagination of what this institution is. I think it's going to really be an incredible experience for visitors. We have a $30 million campaign underway that is just about to conclude. As we reach the conclusion of the capital campaign, we've still got a couple $1 million left to go, and we would welcome participation. There's a donation site on the TrumanLibraryInstitute.org website where you can go on and make a donation. And you don't realize that with $2 million to go, every donation adds up in a hurry. We really would love to see broad participation in this community in support of President Truman.